So guys, we've finally got some news. Battlefield 2042 has announced Season 2, and we've got details on Update 2.0, which is releasing on August 30th at 12 UTC. Some good changes, and as always with DICE, some really questionable ones. Just before we get into it, a message from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Outplayed. Have any of you guys been on an 800% milsim, die in-game, die IRL server and hit a disgusting clip? Well, I've done it a few times, and let me tell you, you've got to have some software to clip it and flex on your fellow milsim enjoyers. An easy program to use is Outplayed by Overwolf. It can automatically record kills, headshots, and other key moments. Then once you've got your highlights, you can easily clip them up within the app and share them to pretty much anywhere. Everything is all in one place and it's super easy, definitely good if you don't have any proper editing experience. If any of this sounds good, go check out the link in the description and try it for free. Alright, so I definitely think most of us can agree that Season 1 was a great thing for Battlefield 2042. It's what brought me back to the game, and it definitely brought a lot of other players back too. The formula there was just a fun map and specialist, along with some good Portal game modes. I mean, sure, some of it was really broken, the stealth heli and the BSV, but overall the game became a lot more popular again due to Season 1, and it was just good fun for quite a long time. As for Season 2, here's the list. We're getting a new map, Stranded, Charlie Crawford the Specialist, the ELBC RAM, the AM40 Avances and PF51 weapons, a concussion grenade, the M2 Carbine, Bren LMG, M95, M249, and the AEK971 are also coming to Portal, and then from Portal we're getting the M16 and the M60. So let's break that down because that was quite a lot of stuff. The new map we're getting is the one from the gameplay trailer that we saw at the start of the game. That's right, this map has already been ready to go for quite a while, and it does make you wonder how much is actually going on at DICE. Anyways, the map seems to be close quarters based, and honestly I don't really know if that's the best thing for the game right now. Currently Pike, the K30 and the 12M Auto are running amok out there, and spoiler alert, none of those are getting a direct nerf themselves. In my opinion, Pike and the 12M Auto alone are destroying the close range meta right now. Pike was one of the major question marks at launch. I mean, how would a wall hack successfully be implemented? And as it turns out, DICE actually did a pretty good job at that point. But after her buff, it's just far too strong. Now adding to the chaos, Andrew Tate, the new specialist, has a deployable shield minigun that he can drop down. I really don't know about this, we'll just have to see. And then along with that, we also have concussion grenades. I don't know if concussion grenades belong in a game like Battlefield. It's just another thing we're going to have to see. I just don't know how much faith I have in these devs to design anything and implement it really well at this stage. Concussion grenades can be really game breaking, especially if they do things like team flashing. Like if you can flash your teammates, the game is in the bin. Now as far as new vehicles go, we're getting the ELBC RAM, which is going to be in the tank deployment section. It's a lighter vehicle though, and it could definitely become the first truly viable ground vehicle, because from what I know, it has an APS or active protection system. Those who played Battlefield 4 will be familiar, but basically it's a countermeasure that blocks almost all of the incoming damage sources. In Battlefield 4 though, it didn't block TV missiles. It will have to do that in 2042, otherwise the vehicle will still get focused and destroyed by a couple Liz players. Now as far as new weapons go, I'm excited to try them all out. It'll be good to get the M16 and M60 in the base game too. The M16 isn't quite as dominant as it was in BF3, so I don't think it's going to cause any serious balance issues. It will just be a fun gun to play. Now one of the biggest things coming to the game is assignments. This is something that I'm definitely happy to see as long as they're implemented well. Battlefield 4 assignments added a lot of direction to the game, and they put some pretty cool guns behind the old system. In this game, the M16 and the M60 are going to be behind assignments, so I can't wait to unlock those and try them out. So all in all, this sounds pretty decent, but here are some of the more interesting changes. I'm not going to read out all the patch notes word for word. A lot of them don't really matter and they're just bug fixes. I will link the notes in the description, but let's have a look at the most interesting stuff here. The first change that caught my eye was this. Soldier animations will now be visible during gameplay. So this means you'll notice soldiers slip when running through snow and mud, lift their knees higher when wading through water, and they'll even put their hand up as they walk into objects. Apparently people were asking for this. Seriously, I want names. Who was actually asking for this? Yeah, it's kind of cool, but honestly, how much time was spent on this? It looks like it's pretty well done. I imagine a lot of hours went into developing this. Now furthermore, does it actually affect the hitboxes? That's my main question there. If it does, I'm scared because the hit reg in this game has never been perfect. It still isn't perfect. And I feel like this could complicate things. Also just in terms of optimization, if this takes even 1 or 2 frames, I'm going to be pissed. This game does not have frames that we can afford to lose. I have a really top-end PC and I'm still not happy with my frame rates. And anyone with pretty much anything less they should not be happy. I mean, it's just not acceptable, the performance of this game, and the mouse input is still absolutely horrendous. The fact that a game can still not have fixed mouse input by this point is absolutely insane. It really is insane. I have no better word for it. Now for the significant balance changes, we're getting a slight nerf on the Wildcat. They've halved the range of the ATG missiles from 400 to 200 meters. The big one was that they've increased the tank shell penetration against the Wildcat, so it's a 3-hit kill now. This is a really good change, as it was not healthy for Wildcats to be killing tanks in 1v1s. BF4 had this issue at launch and they fixed it real quick. Hopefully it's similar now in the sense that a good AA player can win in the right situation with the right plays and the right teammates and all that stuff, but the tank should always have the natural advantage. Next, they've made some changes to my baby, the Stealth Heli. Now this thing is easily the most fun thing in the game for me. I love flying it with the HMGs and tow missiles. I think it's one of the true, only skilled vehicles left in the game. Well, DICE has handed it a few nerfs, and they've done it pretty well. So the 30mm has been nerfed again to do 16 damage from 24. They've also nerfed the instant repair, so it's now in line with the other vehicles. Then finally, they've actually reduced its armor so it can be one hit by Liz missiles. Now this is a huge change, and in my opinion it might be going a little bit too far. We'll have to see, but I know for a fact, whenever I see a Nightbird and I'm playing infantry, it lasts a maximum of 60 seconds before I hit it with a TV. It doesn't really matter who's in the helicopter, the TVs are very maneuverable in this game, and if you hit the shift button, they become very fast as well. Not to mention that if I was extremely toxic, this isn't something that I actually do, but you could just fire 2 TVs, redeploy, fire 2 more TVs, redeploy, and keep going until you actually hit the heli. Now it's a one-hit kill, it's going to be like a shoot as many TVs as you need to, you are going to kill the heli. We're going to have to see how this plays out. I know right now Rao is a lot more popular than Liz against helicopters, and I hope it stays that way, because I don't really have much of an issue with Rao. But if every man and their dog starts picking up the Liz TV missiles, you are not going to be able to fly around for long, I'll tell you that much. Stealth is a much bigger target than the Nightbird, so it's going to be even harder to dodge. Now, next big change for vehicles is a new damage zone on the Condor and Hinds. Now if you aim at the cockpit, you'll deal more damage. I was already doing this and consistently pilot sniping with the Stealth HMGs. I found it to be a really good way to verse transport helis. Just made you win the 1v1 basically as soon as you pilot snipe them. Hopefully it doesn't stop you from doing that, because that would be a nerf to the Stealth Heli. But overall this sounds very good, and it's actually adding a little bit more skill, because those big transport helis were actually a very huge target. So you're adding a smaller target within that, it's going to reward the more skilled players. Now for weapon changes. Firstly, I'll say that the meta is currently the SFAR, BSVM, K30, and the 12M Auto. Other weapons can be very viable as well, but if I was making a tier list, that's your S tier right there. Firstly, the assault rifle headshot multiplier has been changed from 2 to 2.15x. After looking on Synthic, it doesn't look like it's going to be too broken, but we'll have to see. Maybe I'm missing something, but I did play around with a bunch of the weapons, look at the current damage values and how that change in multiplier actually affects the damage model. It doesn't look like it's going to change anything too drastically. Now, SMGs, on the other hand, got absolutely fisted. They had their multiplier reduced from 2x to 1.25x. This is a huge reduction, and it will significantly hurt the viability of SMGs at all ranges. Now, within 2042's laser-like gunplay, headshots were very viable at most ranges, and this has basically been taken away. It's going to hurt a lot, and not to mention that aiming for the head is actually a skill in any game, and it should be rewarded, but this is not how DICE sees it at all. As I've said, and I quote, that they are not weapons that should reward accuracy versus other weapon types. No, all weapons should reward accuracy. This does not seem like a good step forward at all. Now for a very sneaky change, you will no longer be spotted while firing the crossbow or the BSVM. Yep, they literally just took all BSV players off the map. I mean, why even buff this gun more? It's already annoying to play against, and it's already super strong. At least they gave it a slight recoil increase while firing in full auto, but at this point, I think the spread and recoil are actually going to make it more worth just to fire it in single fire and spam click at any range. Even worse is the potential that players are actually going to macro that now. So before, it probably wasn't worth macroing it with the spread increases, but now with the spread and recoil increases on full auto, it's going to be very, very worthwhile for those kind of scummy players to actually set up a macro for that. So I hope no one does it, but that is very, very viable right now. Now finally, the last notable change is that the Magnum had its 2-shot range increased to 100 meters. That is a long distance, and I'm assuming that means it'll also headshot with 1 bullet at that range as well. If so, that's really cool. I've been using the Magnum a lot as a pocket sniper, and it's actually really fun. And I wouldn't have an issue if that gun one-shot across the map. You'd get a lot of cool clips from that. Anyways, all in all, there's some good changes here, some questionable ones, and some things I definitely forgot. The biggest one to me is that Pike nerf. Pike definitely needs a nerf. And the 12M auto is currently pretty much uncapped in fire rate if you fire it in single fire. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I really appreciate it if you made it to this point in the video. But that'll be it for today, guys. Peace.